If there is a man to have a love language, then there is a God to have a love language. Hi Extraordinary Tribe, welcome to another extraordinary episode of Telling God Stories on Moments with BOT. And as you can see in the title, today's episode is titled God's Love Language. Talking about God's love language, I know you know that naturally as human, there is what we also know as 5 love languages, which ranges from acts of service to word of affirmation to attention to physical touch and gifting. So, just as you have a love language, just as a partner and a partner or a couple have love languages, so do God as love language. But for you and I to know God's love language, the first thing is, do we really know who God is? So in today's episode of Telling God's Story, I have come today to share with you my personal belief and what I believe you would also agree with for God's love languages. There is a disclaimer. I'm not saying God's love languages is limited to this, but from my personal relationship with God, through His Word, through prayers, through fellowship, through loving up on Him, I have cut down my love language towards God and what I believe God desires from you and I as a child of God. And that is why I titled today's episode, God's Love Language. So for the first God's love language, I termed it intimacy. Intimacy. Intimacy is one important part of every relationship. So, as a child of God who desire to express God's love language, intimacy is one thing that you must know and become and do. How do you intimate with God? You intimate with God by studying His Word, praying, fellowshipping, worshiping, and making sure that everything you do at any point in time always keep you in touch with God. Number 2 is worship. Worship is not the lyrics of a song we sing or the steppings of the dance we dance. Worship is our life. Worship is our lifestyle. That in your work you worship God. That in your communication you worship God. That in your expressions you worship God. That in your career you worship God. Everything you do should be a worship to God. That in your marriage you worship God. The third one is sacrifice. We have to offer ourselves as a sacrifice. And there is one thing that I learned from one of our father in the Lord. He said, if you visit a rich man's house and you went with a gift and you present the gift to the rich man, when leaving, are you entitled to get it back? That it's because I gave it to you, so I have the right to take it back. No. You have presented yourself to God at the point of salvation, at the point of yielding your life. So you have nothing that is entitled to yourself again. Everything you do should be influenced by God. Everything that concerns you should be what God desires. So we should present ourselves as a sacrifice to God. And the last but not the least is love. You see, the word love carries every other part of God's love language. God first loved us before we love Him. So for us to live as a true child of God, for us to live in accordance to God's desire, we must love God. And not just love God, but love humanity. Scripture says in the book of Mark chapter 12, from verse 30 to 31, making us know that we must love God with the whole of our heart, with the whole of our mind, with the whole of our spirit, and with the whole of our strength. And the one that is similar to this is to love your neighbor as yourself. For you and I to love God right, for you and I to live for God the right way, for you and I to live a life that is of glory to God, you must know God intentionally, personally, genuinely, and make sure that all that consumes you, all that you desire daily as you live and often as you breathe, is that you make God proud and you please God. And one of the ways through which you can do this is to live in accordance to God's love language. So extraordinary family, share with us in the comment section what your idea is about God's love language. How is your relationship with God? What do you think you've been doing, or you want to do more, or you want to tell others to do, that you can say, oh, this is God's love language, and the more we do this, the more we make God proud. Thank you so much, Extraordinary Family, for joining in today's episode of Telling God's Story. I hope you've been blessed in a way or the other. Do not forget to share this with someone that needs to know God's love language. And yes, also share with us your own idea on God's love language. And I will see you in our next episode. Do not forget to subscribe, click on the notification button to be notified of our future episode. And make sure to have an amazing new week. Bye.